3, 2.
Yeah, so I'm curious about this book that you're writing and what inspired the book given your experience with Vimala's, the restaurant.
Other than how a story wells up within me, and I'm asked every day, have you written, are you writing, you should write a book. Same as if someone ate a dish that I took to a potluck, it'll be like, you have to open a restaurant. This is so good. And then I started playing a game, like I would take just tuna fish salad and see if nobody noticed it. It would be like, oh, I made an ordinary dish or common dish, but people would all be talking about the tuna fish salad. And I'll be like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. So I knew there's anointing on my hands. And I remember how very clearly how my mom took my hands in her hands when I was about 2.5 or 3, and she said, your hands are blessed, and so I want you to come cook with me. And of course, it was impossible to get me out of the kitchen anyhow. So I loved it, and that's how I learned, at her lap, from my dad, from street vendors, and I've lived such a rich life, like, because I live impulsively, and I live in the moment, and I love to explore, and I'm adventurous. I have experienced a lot of stories in my life, and all of my education and my experiences and my family history all comes to play in the kitchen to make a plate of food. And I think we are working through generations of history, and this is like alchemy, and you as a chemical engineer would understand. There is an art and a science going on in the food, and when it comes on a plate, there's lots of stories, and at any given time I can tell you a lot of stories, and I want it all to be preserved for others to hear from, because when a story is told, you really get the feeling that this can inspire someone. And because I have this attitude about life, which is, hey, there's a challenge, I'm excited, let's see how God's going to help me solve this problem. And the greater the crisis, the greater my faith and my hope and anticipation to see how this is going to move to the next level in my life. And there's much to be told.
Wow.
And even after we started the restaurant, so many things have happened. Like early on, in the very first year of this local awards done by this paper called the Indie Weekly, we were Best New Restaurant. And we were nominated for Best Chef and Best Indian and several other categories that we still get nominated for or become finalists, such as Best Vegetarian Friendly. Or best wait staff. We don't even have waiters. Maybe we just have friendly people and loving people working there. We were finalists for all those categories, but we won in only one, and that was Best New Restaurant. And you know what my son said to me? I only have one son, and I have 2 daughters. All of them are involved, and my son said, that's the only category we needed to win in, if we had to win just one, because next year that's not the category we'll ever be in.
Right.
And after that, every year we've won something, such as mostly Best Indian, Best Vegetarian Friendly, Best Gluten Free, every single year. So this is our 7th year.
Best vegan this year and many years.
Yeah.
Best vegan.
Yes.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for just sharing your story and giving us some insight into just your life and your journey, and yeah, we're excited to continue eating.
Yeah, and I mean, I do have one question and comment, really, because what I'm inspired by is that you talk about how there's this inherent gift with your hands and stories and being able to embody really your essence, your natural gift in this world. And what I've heard from you is that you really had to experience, you didn't come from a business background.
No.
You didn't come from these types of, doctorate degrees that you might need in order to step into this. And I'm curious as to what challenges or what did you face in order to really have to believe in your essence to create this? Does that make sense?
Yes. Being humble enough to admit when I don't know something and to actually involve the community. So the chefs up and down Franklin Street and Main Street in Scarborough who said to me, welcome to the neighborhood, I would ask them where they got their ingredients from and which farmers, and just ask a lot of questions of so many people who keep instructing me to this day. I'm always learning. And I also say to my staff, this is hard work. If it wasn't, I'd be doing it all by myself. There's enough of an ego there. This is my cuisine. I am by far just the best prep chef we've got. And I still have to have other people chop. I have a callus I carry around on my hand because I can use a knife very fast and really well, but you just cannot do it alone. So in involving other people who bring themselves to the scene and then teaching them what I know and then learning from them, it's a constant process.
Yeah, through your empowerment, you're empowering others
Yes,
to step
yes.
into their gifts.
Yes.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And we are changing the way the South eats. So in the South, the food has traditionally been, when it is seasonal, it's healthy, but higher fat, higher salt content, and people are now beginning to love, say, kale and chard sauteed instead of just collard greens that have been cooked for hours.
Right.
And I remember about 7 or 8 years ago when I went to Goldsboro to a community garden, and I picked kale and chard and cooked it like southern greens. They were like, what? This is not collards, but it tastes good. They were eating it for the first time.
Wow.
And a very funny story goes like this. My daughter, who is now 36, when she was in elementary school, her friends teased her about the food that she ate in her lunchbox. They'd say something like, "Ooh, what's that yucky thing?" And she coveted their peanut butter sandwiches because she felt like no one would pay attention to it and it wouldn't make a scene. And we just, she just kept taking what we had in the house. We didn't have white bread or peanut butter those days. And turns out the children of her friends from then, who are now in schools, they take our food from Curryblossom Café in lunch boxes to the elementary schools. So,
Wow.
pretty
Wow.
amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah, that is. It's transformational.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I know in the sustainable food movement, we're all concerned about what comes to the table, where the chickens have been raised and how and what the chickens ate. But we are not so much concerned about who comes to the table. I'm trying to break that barrier down. Breaking bread together brings down barriers. We can actually have conversations around hot topics like be it racism, be it classism, be it the hierarchy in the workplace we talk about. So my co-workers all get to sit and eat in the dining room.
Wow.
And when they have family, I relieve them from the kitchen to go sit down and eat with their family.
Wow.
Because it's good for those who handle the food and do the labor with the food to also have a chance to eat at the table.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, it's really beautiful. I just love your story.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, Lindsay, give me my cell phone.